occurred at our son's soccer banquet. My husband and my sister-in-law snuck off to the storage closet. I saw my husband and my sister Jasmine disappear into the equipment closet that night, and my world hasn't been the same since. Would you ever expect such a thing from your own family? It was supposed to be such a perfect evening. June 2025 in Des Moines, Iowa. Our son, Ethan, had just finished his first season playing soccer. 7 years old and already a little star, at least in my eyes. The banquet was at the community center, a place that usually smelled of old floor wax and lukewarm coffee. But tonight, it smelled like pizza and cheap party decorations. I was up at the podium trying to make a coherent speech. I'm a nurse, not a public speaker. But Ethan's team had done so well, and I felt like I needed to say something to thank the coach, the parents, and of course, Ethan. I was probably rambling, talking about teamwork and sportsmanship, things I barely understood myself. But I could see Ethan beaming in the front row, and that's all that mattered. That's when I noticed Aaron, my husband of 10 years. He was talking to Jasmine, my younger sister. They were standing near the back, by the supply closet, the kind where they kept all the soccer balls and cones. Nothing seemed amiss at first. Jasmine often came to Ethan's games. She was the cool aunt, always bringing him candy and little toys. But then I saw Aaron glance around, a quick furtive look, before he and Jasmine slipped into the storage closet. Just like that, vanished. Mid-speech. My heart skipped a beat. Or maybe it stopped altogether for a moment. I don't know. All I know is that the words died in my throat. The microphone felt heavy in my hand. I tried to continue, to smile and pretend everything was normal. I even managed to finish the speech somehow. I remember thanking everyone again, but my mind was a million miles away, trapped inside that tiny storage closet. What were they doing in there? The question burned in my brain. I knew it was irrational, that I was probably overreacting. Maybe they were just looking for something, a stray soccer ball or an extra trophy, but something felt wrong. Deeply, horribly wrong. After the speech, I made my excuses and hurried towards the back of the room. My hands were clammy. My breath was coming. I reached the storage closet and pressed my ear against the door. I couldn't hear anything. Nothing. Just the muffled sounds of the banquet, the chatter of parents, and the squeals of children, but nothing from inside the closet. I reached for the doorknob, my hand trembling. Should I open it? Should I just walk away and pretend I hadn't seen anything? What would you do? What would you want me to do? I turned the knob. The door creaked open, revealing a dark, cramped space filled with sports equipment. And there they were, Aaron and Jasmine, standing close, too close. Jasmine's back was to me, but I could see Aaron's face. His eyes were wide with shock, with something that looked like guilt. He quickly stepped away from Jasmine. "What are you doing?" I managed to choke out the words. Aaron stammered. We were just looking for... For what? I asked, my voice rising. There is nothing here that we needed. Jasmine. Her face was pale. She avoided my gaze. "We were just talking," she said softly. "Talking? In a storage closet? While I'm giving a speech for our son?" My voice was shaking now, betraying the anger and hurt that was building inside me. Aaron stepped forward, trying to take my hand. "Please, let's not do this here. It's nothing. You're misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding what, Aaron? Tell me. Explain it to me." I pushed past him and stormed out of the community center, leaving him and Jasmine standing there in the shadows. I needed to get away, to breathe, to try to make sense of what I had just seen. I drove home. The image of them in the closet burned into my mind. The house was empty. Ethan was still at the banquet with his grandparents. The silence was deafening. I paced through the living room, my thoughts racing. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong, that my life was about to change in ways I couldn't even imagine. I wandered into the kitchen and poured myself a glass of wine. It didn't help. My hands were still shaking. I looked around the room at the familiar objects, the pictures on the refrigerator, the cookbooks on the shelf. Everything seemed so normal, so ordinary. How could my life be falling apart while the world around me remained the same? I decided I needed to find something, anything, that would help me understand what was going on. I started searching through Aaron's things, his wallet, his briefcase, his drawers in the bedroom. I knew it was wrong, that I was invading his privacy, but I couldn't help myself. I needed to know the truth. In the pocket of his jacket, I found a folded piece of paper. It was a letter addressed to Jasmine. My heart pounded as I unfolded it. The handwriting was unfamiliar. The words blurred before my eyes. I took a deep breath and started to read. The letter was from a fertility clinic. It talked about Jasmine's progress, about her upcoming appointment. It mentioned a joint loan, taken out to cover the cost of the treatment. A joint loan? With Aaron? My blood ran cold. I reread the letter, each word a hammer blow to my heart. The loan amount was $63,400, a sum I knew nothing about. I sank into a chair, the letter trembling in my hand. Jasmine was undergoing fertility treatment, and Aaron was helping her pay for it? Why? The answer hit me with the force of a physical blow. They were trying to have a baby, together. How could they do this to me, to our family? Was our son not enough? I looked at my hands. I was shaking so violently. I wanted to scream, but there was no sound coming out. I felt like the world was spinning around me. Just then, I heard a car pull into the driveway. It was Aaron. I quickly hid the letter in my purse. I needed to confront him, but I wanted to be prepared. I wanted to know exactly what he had to say. He walked into the house, his face still pale. He looked at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of guilt and apprehension. "I can explain," he said softly. "Explain what, Aaron? Explain why you and my sister were sneaking around in a storage closet. Explain why you're helping her pay for fertility treatment. Explain why you're betraying me?" The words poured out of me, a torrent of anger and pain. He flinched. "It's not like that," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "Then what is it like, Aaron? Tell me the truth." He hesitated for a moment, then took a deep breath. "Jasmine. She's always wanted to be a mother, but she can't have children on her own. And you decided to help her, behind my back, without even talking to me. I knew you wouldn't understand," he said defensively. "You always wanted to focus on Ethan, on your career. I thought I was doing the right thing. The right thing by betraying your wife, by lying to me, by stealing from me. I didn't steal anything. I'll pay you back." "Pay me back? How, Aaron? With what money? You took out a loan for $63,400, a loan I knew nothing about. How do you expect to pay that back?" He looked down, shamefaced. I don't know." I stood up, my hands clenched into fists. "I want you to leave," I said, my voice trembling. "I want you to pack your things and get out of my house." "Please don't do this," he begged. "I love you. I love Ethan. I don't want to lose my family." "You should have thought of that before you decided to sneak around with my sister," I said, my voice cold. "Now get out." He left without another word. I watched him drive away, my heart breaking into a million pieces. My husband, the man I had loved and trusted, had betrayed me in the worst possible way. And my sister, my own flesh and blood, had been a willing accomplice. I spent the rest of the night crying. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't think. All I could do was replay the events of the evening over and over again in my head. The house was quiet, empty. Ethan was still at his grandparents' house. I knew I couldn't stay there, not with all the memories, all the lies. I decided to go to the bank. I needed to find out more about this loan. I needed to know exactly what Aaron had done. The bank teller was polite and professional, but she couldn't give me much information without Aaron's permission. I explained my situation, my voice trembling with emotion. She showed me the application, the terms, the signatures. That's when I saw it. My signature, on the loan application. But it wasn't my signature. It was a forgery. Jasmine had forged my name on the loan. She had deliberately deceived me, stolen my identity. I felt a surge of anger, hotter and more intense than anything I had ever experienced. They weren't just having an affair. They committed fraud. How could they? I left the bank and drove straight to Jasmine's apartment. I didn't call, didn't warn her. I wanted to catch her off guard. I pounded on her door, my fist clenched. She opened it, her eyes wide with surprise. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice shaking. I didn't say anything. I just pushed past her and into the apartment. "How could you do this, Jasmine?" I demanded, my voice trembling with rage. "How could you betray me like this? How could you forge my signature on a loan?" She tried to deny it, to lie her way out of it. But I wasn't having it. I showed her the loan documents, the forged signature. She admitted that she had always been jealous of me, of my marriage, of my family. She had wanted what I had, and she was willing to do anything to get it. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I didn't mean for it to happen this way." "Sorry? You're sorry? You stole from me, you lied to me, you betrayed me. Sorry isn't going to cut it." I turned and walked out of her apartment, leaving her sobbing on the floor. I didn't know what to do. I felt lost, confused, and utterly alone. The months. I filed for divorce. I contacted a lawyer about the forged loan. I tried to explain everything to Ethan as best as I could. He was confused and upset, but he was also incredibly resilient. The legal process was long and complicated. Aaron and Jasmine denied everything, but I had the evidence. The forged loan documents, the letter from the fertility clinic, the testimony of the bank teller. Eventually, the truth came out. Aaron and Jasmine were found guilty of fraud. They were both sentenced to community service and ordered to pay restitution. The divorce was finalized. I was officially single again. I was angry, hurt, and betrayed. And for a long time, I couldn't forgive them. How could I forgive someone who had stolen from me, who had lied to me, who had betrayed me in the worst possible way? I wanted revenge. I wanted them to suffer as much as I had suffered. One evening, I was sitting on my porch, watching the sun set behind the neighbor's house. It was a beautiful sight, but I couldn't appreciate it. My heart was still heavy with anger and resentment. I started thinking about Ethan. He was such a wonderful, loving child. He deserved to be happy. He deserved to have a mother who was happy. I realized that I couldn't let my anger and resentment consume me. I couldn't let it poison my life and the lives of those around me. I decided that I had to forgive them. Not for their sake, but for my own. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting what they had done. It didn't mean condoning their behavior. It simply meant letting go of the anger and resentment that was holding me back. It was the hardest thing I had ever done, but it was also the most liberating. I started to rebuild my life. I focused on my career, on my son, on my friends. I started to do things that made me happy. I learned to trust again, to love again. I even started dating again. It wasn't easy, but I did it. I survived. I thrived. Looking back, I can see that what happened with Aaron and Jasmine was a turning point in my life. It was a painful and traumatic experience, but it also made me stronger, more resilient, and more compassionate. I'm not saying I was a saint through all of this. There were plenty of days where I just wanted to hide under the covers and pretend the world didn't exist. But I had Ethan, and he needed me. Sometimes I still wonder what would have happened if I hadn't seen them go into that storage closet. Would I have lived my life in blissful ignorance? Would I have eventually found out about the affair and the loan some other way? I guess I'll never know. But I do know this. I'm a better person because of what happened. I'm stronger, wiser, and more aware of the complexities of human relationships. So, what would you do if you were me? Would you seek revenge? Would you forgive them? There's no easy answer, is there? Life throws curveballs, and sometimes those curveballs come from the people you least expect. But it's how you react to those challenges that defines you. It's what makes you who you are. My story is a testament to the power of resilience, the importance of forgiveness, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. And if you've ever been through something similar, Please know that you're not alone. There are people who care about you, people who will support you, and people who will help you get through it. Never give up on yourself. Never lose hope. Your story isn't over, it's just beginning. I hope my experience has helped you in some way. Maybe it's given you a little perspective, maybe a little courage, maybe just a sense that you're not the only one who's ever been blindsided by betrayal. So thank you for listening to my story. It wasn't easy to tell, but I hope it's made a difference. Now, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment below. Tell me what you would choose. I really want to hear your thoughts. I would like to know what decision you would take. Life after the divorce wasn't easy. Adjusting to being a single mother, navigating the legal battles, and dealing with the emotional fallout was exhausting. Ethan was incredibly supportive, though. He was so young to understand the complexities of the situation, but he showered me with love and affection. He was the reason I got out of bed every morning. One Saturday, about a year after the divorce, I was at the farmer's market, picking out some fresh produce. The sun was shining, the air was crisp, and for the first time in a long time, I felt a sense of peace. As I was browsing the tomatoes, I saw her, Jasmine. She was standing near the flower stand, looking pale and thin. She seemed lost, as if she did not recognize the location, like she had lost her memory. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. I wanted to turn around and walk away, to pretend I hadn't seen her, but something stopped me. Maybe it was curiosity, maybe it was a morbid fascination. I found myself walking towards her. As I got closer, I could see the sadness in her eyes. She looked broken. "Jasmine," I said softly. She turned around, her eyes widening in surprise. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "I just wanted to see how you were doing," I said, trying to keep my voice neutral. "How do you think I'm doing?" she snapped. "My life is ruined." "You ruined your own life," I retorted. "You made your decisions, Jasmine. You have to live with the consequences." She looked down, shamefaced. "I know," she said softly. I regret everything." "Do you really?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "Or do you just regret getting caught?" She looked at me, her eyes filled with tears. "I was wrong," she said. "I was jealous, I was selfish, I was stupid. I hurt you and I hurt Aaron and I hurt myself. I am deeply, deeply sorry." I stared at her, trying to gauge her sincerity. Was she really remorseful, or was she just trying to manipulate me? It was hard to tell. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked. "What do you want from me?" "Nothing," she said. "I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry, that I truly am." I didn't say anything. I just looked at her, my mind racing. Should I forgive her? Could I forgive her? After everything she had done, after all the pain she had caused, could I actually find it in my heart to forgive her? What would you do? What would you want me to do? Forgive the woman who betrayed you and your family. I don't know about you, but I'm not that good of a person. "I don't know if I can forgive you, Jasmine," I said, "but I appreciate you saying you're sorry." I turned and walked away, leaving her standing there by the flower stand. As I walked, I realized that I was starting to feel a sense of closure. Hearing Jasmine apologize, seeing the regret in her eyes, had helped me to move on. I still didn't trust her, and I probably never would, but I could at least acknowledge that she was human, that she had made mistakes, and that she was now paying the price for those mistakes. A few weeks later, I received a letter in the mail. It was from Aaron. My heart skipped a beat as I recognized his handwriting. I hadn't heard from him since the divorce. I hesitated for a moment before opening it. What did he want? Why was he contacting me now? I took a deep breath and tore open the envelope. The letter was short and to the point. He wanted to see Ethan. He said he missed him terribly and that he regretted not being a part of his life. He promised that he would respect my boundaries and that he would never try to interfere in our lives again. He simply wanted to spend some time with his son. I read the letter over and over again, my mind racing. Should I let him see Ethan? He had hurt me so badly. but he was still Ethan's father. Wouldn't Ethan be happier if he had a relationship with his father? It was a tough decision. What would you do? Keep them apart? What message would it send to Ethan? I talked to my therapist about it. She reminded me that Ethan deserved to have a relationship with both of his parents, even if they weren't together. She also cautioned me to protect myself and Ethan from any further harm. After a lot of soul-searching, I decided to give Aaron a chance. I agreed to let him see Ethan, but only under certain conditions. He had to attend therapy sessions with Ethan and me. He had to respect my decisions about Ethan's upbringing, and he had to promise to never badmouth me in front of Ethan. He agreed to all of my conditions. The first few visits were awkward and tense. Aaron was nervous, and Ethan was confused. But gradually they started to reconnect. They played games, they went to the park, they talked about their lives. I watched them, my heart filled with a mixture of hope and apprehension. I wanted so badly for them to have a good relationship, but I was also afraid of being hurt again. As time went on, Aaron proved that he was committed to being a good father. He attended all the therapy sessions, he respected my boundaries, and he was always there for Ethan. He wasn't the same man I had married, but he was trying to be better. One day, Aaron came to me with a request. He wanted to take Ethan on a weekend trip, just the two of them. I hesitated. I trusted Aaron, but I was still nervous about letting Ethan go away with him. What if something happened? What if he changed his mind and never brought Ethan back? I voiced my concerns to Aaron. He listened patiently, then took my hand. I understand your fears, he said, but I promise you, I would never do anything to hurt Ethan. He's the most important thing in my life. I just want to spend some quality time with him, to bond with him, to create some memories together.